Good morning. It's Tuesday, and here we are with Matthew 21, verse 23 through 27. When Jesus entered the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came up to him as he was teaching and said, "By what authority are you doing these things, and who gave you this authority?" Jesus answered them, "I also will ask you one question. And if you tell me the answer, then I also will tell you by what authority I do these things. The baptism of John, from where did it come? From heaven or from man?" They discussed it among themselves, saying, "If we say from heaven, he will say to us, 'Why then did you not believe him?' But if we say from man, we're afraid of the crowd, for they all hold that John was a prophet." So they answered Jesus, "We do not know." And he said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things." Sometimes you think maybe Jesus just got a little peeved at these priests. It's the leaders of the people. They come up to him and they say, "Who gave you the authority to teach?" They weren't complaining about what he's teaching. They're complaining that he doesn't have the credentials, the authority. He's not been educated. He's not one of us. He's not in the guild, Just like if you decided to go over to Lenoir-Rhyne and start teaching astrophysics without having any background in astrophysics, you might not have a PhD in astrophysics. You might not know anything about astrophysics. They would take a dim view of your using their classrooms to lecture on astrophysics, right? It's the same thing with Jesus, only the difference is he knows his astrophysics. He knows what he's talking about. He is the Son of God, and so when he talks about how we should relate to God, he knows what he's talking about. This is very different from us doing it without credentials. And so he says to them, "Hey, all right, where did John's baptism come from? From heaven or from John, from a human being?" And they're like, "Well, if we say from heaven," he's going to say, "Why don't you believe it then, if you know it's from God?" And if we say it just came from a human being, they're going to say, "Well, wait a minute, the people all believe John's a prophet, and the people are going to rise up against us." So they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, which is what Jesus is trying to get them at, move them to. And he says, if you can't do any better than that, I'm not going to answer your question either. It's a game he plays with these authorities all through the Gospels. They ask him a question, he'll ask them a question back. They want to know this, he'll ask them about that. He does give them straight answers here and there, and many times he answers their questions with a question. And when he asks these questions, he's saying, do you really believe I'm from God or not? And the answer, of course, is they really don't. They don't believe he's from God, and they don't think that he has the authority or the right to say all the things that he says. And so they want to shut him down. They want him to leave the temple. They want him to stop this teaching. He doesn't have the authority. He doesn't have the credentials. He doesn't have a diploma. He doesn't have the right background and pedigree. And that's the way it is. That's the way it was in the New Testament time. That's the way the church still is today. I was on a COM one time, Committee on Ministry of a presbytery, and some little church up in the mountains had hired this Baptist guy to preach there part-time, and he was preaching every other Sunday, and everybody was happy. And somebody on the COM said, "Yes, but he's not credentialed. He's not a Presbyterian. He hasn't learned Greek and taken polity and all that good stuff." And a wise old guy on the committee said, "I don't think we ought to fool with this. The people up there are happy. He's happy. Everyone's happy. Let's just pretend it's fine, because it is." And we did. And it was, for all I know, if the guy's still alive, he's still there. We didn't mess with something that wasn't broken. And so the church has that same kind of attitude today. We need to make sure everybody's credentialed and all that. And we do, but only to a point. And then you have to say, is it broken? No. And so Jesus is saying to them, hey, I have the authority. God gives me the authority. It's not broken. Step aside. That's kind of difficult for us to hear sometimes because like to look for pedigree and background and credentials. But Jesus comes along and challenges all these assumptions and says, I'm here. This is what I'm telling you. Are you going to believe me or not? And tomorrow is Wednesday. We'll see you then. Have a good day. Great day.